In Part 1, we discussed every sect and faction in 2 eras, from the 5 Greats to the Mongol invasion that began forcing the Jianghu to change. But all of that was just a warm-up. Before we move forward, a quick recap for those just joining or those who need a refresher. The first era, the 5 Greats dominated the Jianghu. Power was balanced, no single party could claim total dominance. The second era, 1 generation later, masters began to retreat. New sects were born in hidden places.
And at the end of this era, a library monk named Zhou Yuan died while reciting the most powerful scripture ever known, the 9 Yang Manual. 3 people heard it. One of them was an expelled Shaolin novice named Zhang Junbao. A century later, that same Zhang Junbao founded the Wudang Sect, which we now know as Zhang Sanfeng. And that is where we begin Part 2. In Part 2, we enter the most brutal, complex, and politically relevant era of the entire trilogy. A century after the Second Era ended, the Mongols have won. The Yuan Dynasty is in full control.
In this video, the 6 great sects that divide the power of the Jianghu. 1 revolutionary organization slandered by every sect, yet the most heroic. 2 legendary weapons that hold the entire legacy of the First Era. And of course, who is the strongest in the entire trilogy? Let's go. The Third Era, the 6 great sects. We jump about a century. In this era, sects are no longer just martial arts schools. They are factions in a war for independence. The landscape has changed completely. The Chuanzhen sect, already very weak. The 5 Greats, that concept is no longer relevant. What exists now are the 6 great sects, and 1 revolutionary force that all sects despise, but eventually everyone needs. Wudang Sect, the new philosophy. Do you still remember Zhang Junbao, the expelled Shaolin novice who overheard part of the 9 Yang Manual from the dying Zhu Yuan? After the death of his teacher, Zhu Yuan, and separation from Xiang, Junbao wandered and eventually settled on Mount Wudang. Reflecting on everything he had ever learned, both from Shaolin and from the voice of Zhu Yuan still echoing in his head, he then created the Wudang 9 Yang Manual. After becoming a Taoist priest in Wudang, he changed his name to Zhang Sanfeng. He founded Wudang Sect on Mount Wudang. And from his contemplation on Mount Wudang, a new philosophy was born. Softness overcomes hardness. Circular motion diverts the opponent's energy. Emptiness overcomes fullness. Tai Chi, not just a new move, this is a revolution in martial arts philosophy. Through Tai Chi, Wudang proves that gentleness can conquer harshness. If Shaolin is the hot and direct sun, then Wudang is the calm but powerfully gravitational moon. There is one unique moment that best shows who Zhang Sanfeng really is. At that time, the Wudang headquarters was being attacked by Mongol martial artists. Zhang Sanfeng was severely injured by the sneak attack. Zhang Wuji, disguised as a servant, appeared to protect his master's grandfather. In front of the enemy, Zhang Sanfeng decided to teach Zhang Wuji 2 newly created styles on the spot: Tai Chi Fist and Tai Chi Sword. Using the Tai Chi technique he had just learned in a matter of minutes, Zhang Wuji defeated top masters from Mongol who wielded legendary weapons. He used the principle of borrowing strength to counterattack, which confused his opponents. This scene is iconic because it proves that in Jin Yong's highest form of martial arts, philosophical understanding is far more important than memorizing physical techniques. Zhang Sanfeng spent his extraordinarily long life, over 100 years, perfecting this system. What makes Zhang Sanfeng unique among all other sect founders, he lived in both the second and third eras, spanning more than 100 years. He witnessed firsthand how Wudang grew, flourished, and almost perished. The Emei sect, founded by Xiang, is one of the major fictional martial arts schools in the Wuxia world, based in Mount Emei, Sichuan, China. Xiang is the daughter of Jing and Rong. She grew up hearing stories about Yong, the legendary warrior dubbed the Condor Hero, and fell in love with the figure before meeting the person.
When she finally met Yang Guo, Guo Shang realized the man belonged entirely to Xiaolong Nu. There was no room for anyone else. Guo Shang wandered for years, lost her parents in the great battle of Xiaoyang, witnessed a world that kept changing with nothing to hold on to. And atop Mount Emei, she decided to stop wandering and build the Emei sect. The Emei sect was born not from an ambition for power. It was born from sorrow, transformed into purpose.
Guo Xiang brought 2 legacies to Emei. First legacy, 9 Yang Manual, partial, from Zhu Yuan. Guo Shang was one of the 3 people who heard Zhu Yuan recite the 9 Yang Manual while dying, and because her memory was extraordinary, the version she brought to Emei was the longest among the 3 versions. This became the foundation of the Emei 9 Yang skill.
Second legacy, Heaven Sword, from her family. Before falling in defense of Shangyang, Guo Jing and Huang Rong entrusted Guo Shang with the legendary Heavenly Sword, along with the secrets hidden within it, the 18 dragon-subduing palms and the 9 Yin Manual. She was given the task of guarding the sword and finding the right person to use its contents in the future, and she passed the secret to the next Emei leader. A century later, when Zhou Zhiro became the leader of Emei and broke the sword by clashing it against the Dragon Saber, did the 9 Yin Manual finally emerge and be studied.
Shaolin Temple, the moral authority. In the Third Era, Shaolin rises again as the moral force of the Jianghu, guardian of ethical standards, master of the largest martial arts library, and the institution with the most respected reputation. But in this era, Shaolin is also tainted from within. Cheng Kun, a martial arts master masquerading as a Shaolin monk, manipulates the situation from the inside to destroy the Ming cult and simultaneously ruin Shaolin's reputation.
A bitter irony, the institution with the highest morals was nearly destroyed by betrayal from within. Beyond that, Shaolin remains relevant and powerful. Their knowledge is deep, their senior disciples are tough, and in the alliance of the 6 great sects, they are the moral leaders whom all parties respect. Kunlun, Kongtong, and Mount Hua, the 3 pillars. We discuss these 3 sects together because in the Third Era, they often appear as a single block in the alliance of the 6 great sects, though each has a different character. The Kunlun Sect from the far western mountains, founded by Huzu Dao, who also appeared at the end of the Second Era as an accidental witness to the story of the 9 Yang Manual. In this era, Huzu Dao has become a remembered legend. Kunlun leadership is held by the next generation. They often act superior toward other sects, but are also sometimes out of touch with the dynamics of the Central Plains Jianghu Wars. The Kongtong Sect from Gansu. This is the most interesting of the 3 because their main technique, the 7-injury fist, is a living paradox. This technique is deadly to the opponent, but also slowly damages the user's own internal organs. 7 injuries, 7 organs. It means whoever masters the 7-injury fist has signed an agreement that their own body will decay faster. The Mount Hua Sect from Shanxi, specialists in fast swords with a tradition of long swords, an important pillar of the Orthodox Alliance, reliable, stable, and never questioning its stance on the right side. Ironically, this makes them vulnerable to manipulation by parties who can pretend to be on the same side. These 3 sects become indirect antagonists in the Ming cult story arc, trapped in prejudice against what they consider a cult without truly understanding who the Ming cult really is.
Beggar Sect, the dragon with broken wings. However, behind the rise of these great sects, there was one dying giant, the Beggars Gang. They have become the Orphaned Sect, a behemoth that lost its way after the deaths of Huang Rong, Lu Youjiao, and Yi Lu Qi in the ruins of Xiangyang. With their leader, Shi Huolong, inheriting only 12 of the 18 dragon-subduing palms techniques, they are like the dragon with broken wings. They have a great name, but they have lost the fangs that once terrified their enemies.
The deaths of their leaders caused the oral transmission of the 18 dragon-subduing palms to be permanently interrupted. However, before her death, Huang Rong kept a map
containing a copy of the 18 dragon subduing palms in the Heaven Sword, which she passed on to her daughter, Guoshang. This secret was known only to Guoshang and passed down to his successors in the Emei sect. This meant that subsequent beggar gang leaders, including Shi Huolong, could only learn the techniques from incomplete sources. This tragedy served as a bitter reminder to the Jianghu world that without a strong leader and pure knowledge, even the largest organization can collapse. Through Zhang Wuji, the 18 dragon subduing palms and the dog-beating staff were eventually returned to Shi Huolong's daughter, Shi Hongxi, as the last hope for reviving the Beggar Sect.
Ancient Tomb Sect, the shadow from the past. While the six great sects battle for political supremacy and the Ming cult ignites the fires of revolution, a silent power remains hidden in the shadows of history. Located behind the peaks of Mount Jiangnan, the Ancient Tomb Sect, once the sanctuary of the legendary couple Yang Guo and Xiaolin, has become a myth, a ghost story whispered by the elders of the Jianghu. In this era of chaos, the sect emerges not as a conqueror, but as a silent guardian of balance. The appearance of the yellow dress maiden sends shockwaves through the martial arts world, moving with the ethereal grace of a spirit and striking with the terrifying precision of the pure 9-yin manual. She represents a lineage that has remained untainted by the passage of time. Her intervention is pivotal. When the Beggar's gang falls into internal ruin and the leadership is usurped by the schemes of Chongkun, it is the Ancient Tomb Sect that restores order. By protecting the young Shui Hongshui and exposing the imposters, they fulfill a debt of honor that spans generations, linking the heroes of the past to the struggle for China's future. As she vanishes back into the mist, she leaves behind a haunting reminder. Behind Mount Zongnan in the ancient tomb, the great heroes are gone, their names heard no more. The Ancient Tomb Sect serves as the soul of the trilogy, a reminder that while dynasties fall and sects crumble, the true essence of chivalry never truly disappears.
Ming cult, the revolutionary engine. Okay, this is the most complex. Sit comfortably. The Ming cult is the most misunderstood sect in the entire Jianghu. All orthodox sects call them demons, a heretical cult, and they created a special alliance to destroy the Ming cult. But who is the Ming cult really? The Ming cult is the most structured and dedicated resistance organization in fighting the Yuan Dynasty. While orthodox sects are busy feuding and guarding their reputations, the Ming cult is already on the ground, protecting the people, attacking Yuan garrisons, building anti-Mongol underground networks across the country. They are considered heretical, not because their deeds are evil, but because they are different. Their religion is not Confucianism or Taoism or Buddhism, but Manichaeism from Persia. Their rituals are foreign. Their name is frightening. And that is enough for conservative sects to label them as enemies. The internal structure of the Ming cult is the most sophisticated in the entire trilogy. 5-element flags: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, each leading elite troops with different specializations. Bright left and right messengers, Yang Xiao and Fan Yao, 2 right-hand men with total loyalty to the Ming cult. 4 law-enforcing guardians, figures with abilities equal to the leaders of major sects. The 5 wanderers, 5 high-ranking figures tasked with managing various organizational and military affairs. Heavenly Eagle Sect under Yin Tian Zheng, a semi-independent wing that eventually fully merged. In the Third Era, the position of leader was vacant and contested, until Zhang Wuji accidentally saved the Ming sect from an attack by the 6 great sects and was then recognized as the new leader. Under him, the Ming cult eventually made peace with the 6 great sects and united to face the Yuan Dynasty. The actual Ming Dynasty, founded in 1368, ending Mongol rule over China, took its name directly from the Ming sect, and its founding emperor, Zhu Yuanzhang, was himself a former member of the sect. The Yuan Dynasty's martial apparatus, the political antagonists. Behind all the conflicts between sects, there is a power most responsible for the condition of the Jianghu in this era: the martial apparatus of the Yuan Dynasty. But the team working under him is not what many people imagine. Let's name them one by one. Cheng Kun, main antagonist. This is the most dangerous figure in the Third Era, not just because of his martial strength, but because of his intelligence in manipulation. Cheng Kun is a martial master masquerading as a Shaolin monk. He uses his position as an advisor to Ruyang Wang, not out of loyalty to the Mongols, but for his personal agenda, destroying the Ming cult for a personal vendetta, while simultaneously ruling the Jianghu. Ironically, he himself hates the Mongols, but is willing to cooperate for his goals.
Chen Yo Liang, Beggar's Gang infiltrator. Not a direct member of the Yuan forces, but an agent who managed to infiltrate the Beggar's Gang. Chen Yo Liang is Cheng Kun's right-hand man in carrying out the manipulation agenda from within the Jianghu.
Zhao Min, operational commander. Zhao Min, the daughter of Ruyang Wang. She is not a martial expert in the conventional sense. She is a brilliant strategic commander. It was she who designed and led the mass capture of all the sects in one night using the muscle softener poison. In terms of strategic intelligence, no one matches her. Her relationship with Zhang Wuji is one of the most complicated romances in the trilogy.
Xuan Ming elders, Lu Zhangke and He Bi Wang. Two elders with the signature move Xuan Ming Divine Palm, a palm strike that causes severe internal damage and takes a long time to heal. Zhang Wuji was struck by the attack when he was a child and nearly died. Even the head of Wudang, Sect Sanfeng, was unable to cure him.
Fan Yao, the bright right messenger of the Ming sect. He intentionally disfigured his own face and disguised himself as a mute ascetic monk named Ku Tatuo so he could infiltrate the Yuan forces and act as a spy for the sect. He was also trusted to be the teacher of Zhao Min, Ruyang Wang's daughter. The greatest paradox of this Yuan faction, by suppressing all the sects at once, they actually forced the Jianghu to unite. The best enemy is the one who leaves their enemies with no choice but to cooperate.
Cross-generational links, the echoes. This is the part often overlooked, but is exactly what makes the Condor Trilogy feel like a single living entity, not three separate stories. Sects can fall, figures can die, but ideas, skills, and legacies continue to flow, sometimes through unexpected paths.
Xiang Sanfeng, a character across two eras. Xiang Sanfeng deserves a special segment because he is the only character actively present in two different eras and serves as the bridge for philosophy from the second to the third era. In Return of the Condor Heroes, Xiang Sanfeng is a young boy, known as Zhang Junbao, a servant in the Shaolin library. He was expelled from Shaolin, not for lack of talent, but because he secretly studied martial arts and demonstrated incredible strength when defeating powerful enemies who came to Shaolin.
This sparked fears among the Shaolin elders of an internal rebellion, similar to the one that occurred when a cook secretly studied Shaolin arts and defeated the Shaolin leaders. The crucial moment. Zhu Yuan, the librarian's supervisor, was dying, reciting the 9 Yang manual. Zhang Junbao hears part of that recitation, incomplete and unstructured, but it was enough to plant a seed. For decades after that, Zhang Junbao wandered, reflecting on what he had heard and learned from Zhu Yuan.
From that synthesis, he arrived at a conclusion that changed the world of martial arts. Softness can overcome hardness. Circular motion can divert straight force. Emptiness can overcome fullness. This is what we know as Tai Chi Chuan. After leaving Shaolin, he took the name Zhang Sanfeng and founded the Wudang School.
The Chain of Scriptures, 9 Yin and 9 Yang. 2 manuals, 3 eras, 1 unbroken thread. The 9 Yin manual was fought over by the 5 greats. It fell into various hands, including Ouyang Feng, who went insane from studying it backwards. Eventually, it was hidden by Guo Jing and Huang Rong along with the 18 Dragon Subduing Palms manual, or a map of its location in the revised edition of the novel, inside the blade of the Heaven-reliant sword, which was passed down to Guo Xiang. Its secret was strictly guarded by the Emei sect leaders until its location was discovered by the 4th era leader, Zhao Jiro.
The Nine Yang Manual, hidden inside the Shaolin Lankavatara Sutra, learned accidentally by Zhuan Yuan, heard by 3 people as Zhuan Yuan was dying, Guo Xiang, Zhang Junbao, and Wu Su. Each captured different parts and gave birth to 3 lineages, Emei Nanyang, Wudang Nanyang, and Shaolin Nanyang. The complete version was found and mastered by Zhang Wuji nearly a century later. The chain of the 2 legendary weapons, Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber. The 2 legendary weapons of the Third Era, the Heaven Sword and the Dragon Saber, are said to be the keys to overthrowing the Yuan Dynasty. Inside the Dragon Saber is hidden Yu Fei's military manual, Book of Wu Mu, containing tactics, formations, strategies for facing invasion, and how to lead troops effectively. The true meaning of the proverb circulating in the Jianghu, "Whoever possesses the Dragon Saber will be the ruler of the world," is not in terms of martial arts, but in military and political terms. Inside the Heaven Sword are hidden 2 manuals at once, the 9 Yin Manual and the 18 Subduing Dragon Palms, the strongest legacy of the Jianghu, hidden within 2 heirloom weapons, and that is why everyone hunts for them. These 2 weapons are time capsules of the entire legacy of the First Era. Everything was hidden by Jing and Rong with one goal, to ensure the next generation had everything they needed to continue the resistance against the Mongols, even if Xiangyang Fortress eventually fell. And Xiangyang did fall, but the legacy did not fall with it. The Bloodline Chain, from Jing to Emei. Jing and Rong are the pivot between the First and Second Eras. Disciples of Hong Qigong and also Huang Yaoshi, they absorbed the legacy of 2 great powers of the First Era. Their daughter, Xiang, brought that legacy into the Third Era in the most unexpected form. Emei Sect, a sect built on a mountain from the sorrow of her unrequited love for young Guo. Who is the strongest? Analysis based on the novel. This is a question that always sparks long debates, and rightly so, because in the Condor Trilogy, strong is multidimensional. There are those who are strong individually, there are those who are strong collectively, there are those who are strong militarily, and there are those who are strong philosophically. Strongest individual per era. Era 1, Legend of the Condor Heroes. Wang Chongyang, deceased, versus Aoyang Feng, mad, versus Guo Jing. Under normal conditions, Wang Chongyang is the strongest in the First Era, the only one who defeated all the other 4 greats, but he died young. Aoyang Feng, post-madness, is a more complicated case. After practicing the reversed version of the 9 Yin Manual for years, his skills reached a level that cannot be compared conventionally. In one scene, the mad version of Aoyang Feng managed to match Guo Jing at the peak of his abilities, and Guo Jing at that time was already a top-tier warrior. However, the outcome might have been different if Guo Jing had fought a non-crazy Aoyang Feng. This is still debated. In the end of the First Era, Guo Jing wasn't the strongest yet, despite his immense strength. He was able to hold his own against Huang Yaoshi and Hong Qigong for 300 moves, but in terms of experience and maturity of his internal energy, he was still slightly inferior to them. Canon conclusion: Wang Chongyang in a living and healthy state is the strongest individual of the First Era. The mad version of Aoyang Feng is an outlier that cannot be categorized normally.
Era 2, Return of the Condor Heroes. Yang Guo versus Xiaolong Nu versus Golden Wheel Monk.
After 16 years of training under the guidance of the Great Condor, Yang Guo emerged as the strongest candidate of his era through the legacy of the invincible Dugu Chubai. He mastered the heavy iron sword technique, which relies on immense internal energy to crush an opponent's defense, rather than relying on a sharp blade. With extraordinary internal power forged through extreme training against raging ocean waves, he eventually created his original technique, the Melancholy Palm, whose power is recognized as being on par with Guo Jing's legendary 18 dragon subduing palms. Xiaolong Nu is the fastest in terms of Qinggong, or lightness skill, and precision attacks, but her range of techniques is narrower compared to Yang Guo, who is more well-rounded. Golden Wheel Monk was the greatest threat from the Mongol side. the dragon elephant Prajna Gong made him nearly untouchable. However, in a direct confrontation against Yang Guo at the peak of his abilities, Yang Guo was superior. Canon conclusion, Yang Guo, the Condor hero, is the strongest individual of the Second Era.
Era 3. Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber. Zhang Wuji versus Zhang Sanfeng versus Yellow Dress Maiden.
Zhang Wuji is an anomaly in the entire trilogy. He fully mastered 3 systems of martial arts: the 9 Yong manual, nearly limitless internal energy and immunity to poisons; the Heaven and Earth Great Shift, the technique to perfectly redirect an opponent's energy; and the Tai Chi Fist and Tai Chi Sword, which he learned directly from Zhang Sanfeng.
However, the appearance of the Yellow Dress Maiden introduces a different kind of supremacy. While Wu Ji represents the peak of raw, overwhelming power, she represents the peak of purity. As the successor of the ancient Tomb Sect, she wields the original 9 Yin manual with an effortless elegance that makes even the most complex techniques look rudimentary. Her victory over Zhou Jirou was a masterclass in technical superiority, achieving in seconds what Wu Ji struggled to do with brute force.
In the novel, the only one explicitly capable of seriously matching Zhang Wuji is Zhang Sanfeng himself, the founder of Wudang, who was over 100 years old. However, a full-scale battle between the two never occurs in the canon. In his old age, Zhang Sanfeng reached a peak of understanding that transcended strength in the conventional sense. He existed on a different spiritual level.
Conclusion. Zhang Wuji is arguably the strongest individual in active, sustained combat. The Yellow Dress Maiden is the ultimate specialist, capable of neutralizing any technical flaw with her ancient lineage. But Zhang Sanfeng likely surpassed them both in wisdom, existing as a living deity within the physical constraints of a 100-year-old body. 3 masters, 3 different paths to invincibility.
The strongest individual throughout the trilogy, Guo Jing versus Yang Guo versus Zhang Wuji. The biggest question: if all the strongest figures from the 3 eras met at the peak of their abilities, who would win? Guo Jing, the 9 Yin manual, 2-handed combat skills, 18 dragon subduing palms. He is the type of fighter whose stamina grows stronger the longer the battle lasts.
Yang Guo, melancholy palm, heavy sword technique, frog skill, jade girl swordplay, dog beating staff technique, 9 Yin manual. His fighting style is unpredictable and emotional. However, his strength is highly dependent on his mood, sadness, longing. Zhang Wuji, 9 Yang manual, Tai Chi Fist and Sword, Great Shift of Heaven and Earth, Sacred Fire Tablet. He is too kind-hearted and often hesitates in battle. He rarely harbors the intent to kill, which often becomes his weakness when facing experienced fighters. Technically, he has the highest potential. The 9 Yang manual grants him unlimited inner energy and the ability to heal instantly. The Great Shift allows him to deflect an opponent's attacks, and Tai Chi provides him with perfect defensive techniques.
Who is the strongest? In an interview, Yong once stated that Zhang Wuji is his strongest protagonist overall, due to the combination of various God-tier martial arts he possesses. However, in a life-or-death battle, Guo Jing would likely win in terms of combat experience and technique. He could use both hands, like there were 2 Guo Jing, fighting Yang Guo or Zhang Wuji. Yang Guo has the edge when it comes to surprise attacks. When he's at the peak of his emotional intensity, the force of his attacks is nearly impossible to withstand physically. Zhang Wuji has the edge in terms of internal energy reserves. He can endure the longest and neutralize almost any type of attack. Conclusion: in terms of raw power and martial arts potential, Zhang Wuji is number 1. However, in terms of combat effectiveness, many fans favor Guo Jing because of his extremely resilient mentality and lack of weaknesses. Strongest sect per era. Era 1, the Beggars Gang excels in collective strength and networking. Peach Blossom Island excels in individual quality. Neither can claim full dominance. Era 2, the Ancient Tomb Sect in stealth combat. The Mongol Empire in organized military strength. No Jianghu sect is truly dominant. This is an era of fragmentation. Era 3, the Ming cult. The only one with a complete military structure, a clear ideology, an extensive network, a leader equivalent to a martial god, and motivation that cannot be bought.
If the third era is a war, the Ming cult is the best prepared.
Okay, we've reached the end. We've discussed dozens of sects, hundreds of years of history, and figures whose names have become legendary. But if you ask, what exactly is the common thread in all of this? The answer is not the 9-yen manual, not the Heaven Sword or the Dragon Saber, not even Jing, Yangguo, or Jianghu.
The answer is one word, yi, righteousness or justice. But not justice in the sense of laws or written rules. It's simpler than that. Sects can fall, titles can be lost. Even the most powerful 5 greats pass away one by one. But as long as there is one person who chooses to stand on the right side, that yi will not die.
It simply moves to someone else, to the next generation, to a new sect. And that's what makes the Condor Trilogy not just a story of martial arts, but a story about why humans are willing to sacrifice for something greater than themselves. That's it, the complete guide to every sect and faction in the Condor Trilogy. If you have a different opinion on who is the strongest, or if something was missed or not quite right, drop it in the comment section. And don't forget, subscribe if you haven't, and see you in the next video.